Welcome back to another episode of Maximum Production, a Wholesome Friesian New Zealand podcast about everything to do with cows. I'm Amelia, and today's episode is about Gypsy Day, which is one of the busiest days each year for farmers on their calendar if they are changing farms on the 1st of June. So I thought I would catch up with a couple of farmers, one of which is going sharemilking for the first time, and the other has been sharemilking for a few years and changed farms at the start of this season, doubling their herd. So our first farmer is Ben. So Ben is currently working as a 2IC on a farm in Manawatu and is going 50-50 sharemilking for the first time in the 24-25 season. So thanks, Ben Hayes, for joining us today. And our second farmer got roped into this a little bit, unfortunately, because he's my brother, so he didn't have a choice. Is Craig Griffin. So Craig is sharemilking for Wendy and David Harker just outside of Te Awamutu. Craig was sharemilking in Manamana for a couple of years and then changed, doubling his herd to come on to work for Wendy and David this season. So thanks, Craig.
You're welcome.
So first of all, let's get a bit of background from you guys. Ben, do you want to start? Tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today and getting the opportunity to go sharemilking.
Yeah. So I didn't grow up at all any what involved in farming. Grew up on the North Shore of Auckland. Joined the Navy after school, and then I suppose one thing led to another. Left the Navy and went and trained as a livestock rep with PGG Wrightson, and sort of got my exposure to farming through that. And pretty early on in that, I was kind of like, I like this, and sort of on the wrong side of the fence, as it were. Did livestock rep, finished my cadetship with them, got placed down to Taranaki, and did that for all up 3 years, and then worked over in Australia for a bit, came back, and finally my wife Sheree gave me the blessing to go dairy farming, and jumped in. I'd sort of been relief milking and stuff when I was a rep, and took up did primary ITO 3 and 4, just finished 4 this year.
So whereabouts are you going sharemilking?
In Tamaranui. 350 cows up there.
Feed system?
System 2 to 3. Don't buy any PK. So everything's grown on farm or on the runoff. Do maize at the moment, summer turnips, and grass really. Yeah, it's simple. And I don't know. I'm quite looking forward to it. I've had PK where I am now. I'm not the world's biggest fan of it. It's got its own challenges. But it's also easy. Like, if you're short a couple of kilos of feed, it's like, I'll just throw that in, as opposed to having to open a stack or find, push your round, like shorten up your round or find something else to plug the gap. Yeah. So no, I'm really looking forward to the challenge of it.
Craig, do you want to give us a bit of your background?
My background. Well, we grew up farming. Mum and Dad had a small farm down in Taranaki, pedigree Ayrshires. When I was younger, I hated milking cows, absolutely hated it. And I would do everything else, tractor work, go get cows in, weeds, anything to avoid being in the shed. But then they moved up to Otaronga, and we were there for a few years, and then they sold up. And Dad said basically if I wanted to go farming, I had to get a trade first. So I tried a few things. I worked for a builder, did a few programs through the school, called Gateway Program, which they tried to get you into different lots of trades. I worked for a concrete company for a day. I worked for in a Giltrap engineering, and sort of at the same time was still doing relief milking where we could. So when Mum and Dad finally moved to Eureka, and I finished my schooling off there. They sort of asked me what I wanted to get into and pointed out a few building jobs and some cabinetry jobs, and I found a job on fence post of a farm looking for a farm worker. So I applied for the job and got it. I was absolutely stoked. So I was there for about 6 years, and in those 6 years I was started off as a lonely worker, moved through to management, and then the last year that I was there I was contract milking, but then the farm was shrinking, so I had to move on. So then, sort of moved around for a little bit. Couple of years here, a couple of years there, just working on different farms, as like management or contract milking and stuff like that. And finally landed a job about must be 7 years ago now, on a farm out of Matamata, a contract milking job, 180 cows. Nice, simple, one-man operation. We were there 3 years contract milking, and then we got the opportunity to buy the herd that was already there and work our way through being share milkers. So I did another 4 years there, share milking, and then I got offered a position where I am now on Wendy and David Harker's, and doubled our numbers, went from 180 to 360, and that all comes with challenges, but loving it. Love being around cows, so that's pretty much me.
So, Ben, you mentioned that you did Ag ITO. Craig, you put yourself through Ag
yes.
ITO as well?
I started off, I did level, I think they wanted to put me in level 2 and start me off there, but all the classes that we were doing in level 2 I knew. Yep. So I pretty much did the whole level 2 course all in one day. And then went into level 3, did level 4, and I did a level 4 apprenticeship as well, as what they were offering at the time, which was quite nice because when you finished the apprenticeship, you got a vest with your name on it, just in case I forgot who I was. And I also did level 5 production management as well. So
how'd you find that?
Very difficult. I'm very dyslexic, so there was a lot of redoing papers, and I don't think I fully passed, but my tutor said, "You've passed enough." I think it was basically like, "We're sick of you now. You can leave." And
the only way we'll get rid of you is passing you out.
Yeah, but it's certainly a challenge, and it opens your eyes up, and breaking down, especially like management side of things, like feed and the money side of things of that feed, breaking down production to cost per milk solid and that sort of, it's a real big eye opener there, and it's helped me sort of get to where I am. So,
yep.
So you've both done it. Do you both see it as a benefit for people that are moving up in the industry?
I personally see it as a tool. Like any education, you're only going to get out of it what you want to put into it. I think that it was good. The people I've met and the yarns I've had with people more so. I think that, yes, it formalises what you're learning and what you're going through. And it does do that set thing, like going from 3 to 4 and expanding on the knowledge has been good.
Craig, would you agree?
Definitely. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like the people that I met through it, connections that we had moving forward. We are also we have a worker on this place, and any workers going forward, we're going to offer it to them because that's like the first job that I got when I left school, proper job. That's what they did for me, and I feel like it's something that I want to do to pass on and bring more people through the industry, and just learning is always fun. Well, I find it fun anyway.
Yeah, I think that's I was going to say, I think that like discussion groups, that's almost what our cohort became. Like, yeah, I think that's one space that really needs work on, is that, that discussion group. Like, that's where you learn stuff, I reckon, is actual real world stuff, as opposed to, if Gary's got 15 cows and he needs to feed them on an 8-hour break, what's Gary got to feed them?
I did enjoy those discussion groups. But that's the same thing at the Ag ITO. Like, there's a bunch of people in your class or around your class that are doing the same thing, same sort of level that you're at. If you have a question, it doesn't matter if it's a stupid question. Somebody might have already done it and gone, hold on a minute, don't do it like this, tweak it like that, and then you can move on, rather than try and struggle through and make the mistakes. And then when you've left your Ag ITO, you can sort of implement that in your job, but also you can sort of go along to these discussion groups and sort of challenge it even more, because then you're going to be around some of those older people that had done it for 30, 40 years, and they might have a way to do things, but it's like, it's not going to quite work on my place. But I learned this at Ag ITO, and these two will work together.
So you mentioned discussion groups. Have you both been involved with your local discussion groups in your areas, and you agree that those can be another useful tool when trying to develop your skills and learn a bit more?
I haven't been involved down on the Manawatu as much as I'd like. Just, one with whatever challenges. I did do a couple in Taranaki, but yeah, I'm looking forward to them going forward. But yeah, I suppose it's that, like, New Zealand's really good at the old tall poppy thing, eh? Like, if you go along and you're like, I'm doing this, and, what are thoughts on this? Like, it needs to be, like, without sounding airy-fairy, but like an inclusive, supportive place. Like,
yeah.
And like, you're all farmers, you're all putting white stuff in a big shiny thing and it's getting picked up by a thing with wheels. Like, fundamentally,
that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
It is, like, fundamentally, we're all doing the same shit. We're milking cows, we're looking after cows, and that's what I love about it, is there's so many ways to skin the cat. I suppose the challenge for a discussion group is, because it's an open forum, that are you actually going to put out what is challenging you and get a worthwhile response? And
yeah, it's like, I've been involved with a couple of pretty strong discussion groups, and a couple of discussion groups that I felt was a complete waste of time. And that's the big thing. Like, the way the dairy industry is in New Zealand, nobody's in the same book. Like, every farm is different. So you can go to a discussion group that's low input, cow to the acre, doesn't buy in any feed, only makes all his supplement on farm. That is it. Drives off, Christmas time if it's a massive drought. And you can do that 1 month, and then the next month you can be out on a farm that's feeding like 4 or 5 ton of cow and supplement that he's bought in from everywhere he can get his hands on. And he's doing production like way through the roof. I guess that the challenge for the people taking those groups is trying to make it appealing for everybody, where it is on those extremes. So I totally get that, but sort of just having like one sort of topic and sticking to that one sort of topic and saying this works here is not going to be appealing to everyone, because they're going to go, but my farm doesn't do that. And then they feel stink because like they're either doing less production, or they turn up and want to be all cocky because they're doing more production. It's like,
it's that understanding of not farming in New Zealand is not a one-size-fits-all system.
Yeah.
And you do need to go to those different farms. As you said, you're going to be running a system 2 to 3 on the farm that you're going on to, Ben. What are you running at this farm?
We're roughly the same, probably more of a 3 in it too. But everything comes
you've got the
off
in-shed feeding.
Yeah, we've meal system through the shed, so I do a custom blend for that, and that's fed all year, just at adjusted rates. But that's my way of getting minerals into the cows. Like I don't have any dosatron or anything like that, so we fully rely on that. So but everything else comes off the runoff. So and
but
whatever
again,
I can make here.
But that's like exactly to the point, like you're still putting white stuff in a big shiny thing. It's
exactly
different ways of it, and that's what I love about it. Like it is so varied,
You can't like just say I'm not going to do that system because it's this, or I'm not going to do that system because it's that. Especially with those discussion groups, what I've learned is you take little bits out of everybody's system and try and implement it. If it works, it works. Mint. You're winning. If it doesn't work, then is there a way that you can tweak it? Is there a way that you can change something so it does work for your business and your farm? Or is it another discussion point that you can have with your neighbours or your mate down the road or whoever you met at the pub and just gone, hey, have you tried this? And does it work? And that's sort of me. I'll talk to anyone. So,
which is ideal.
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't think it's a bad thing, Craig. So we talked about your systems and how many cows you're milking. How did you make up your herd? So going share milking is your first opportunity to buy a herd. I know it's a lot of money to buy that first herd. A lot
of money.
Can't take it with you.
So how have you put this herd together for have you purchased your herd yet, or is that still in the works?
Done and dusted. Need a couple of budgets still, but pretty much done and dusted. Wanted to get it done before Christmas, but just didn't end up lining up. How did we put it together? Well, I suppose because I was a livestock rep for a while, and I suppose my approach to it was you get half your grazing paid for normally or under our contract. So what are we going to get that's going to give us the most value for money? Is it like carcass weight and calves and all of that. Like going through calf sales, you look at what your progeny's worth. Is it going to be a bobby or is it going to be like what's that going to return to you? That sort of shaped going to a Friesian as opposed to a Jersey or to whatever. Gone for the Friesian, and then brought the core of the herd off a lady and gentleman up that are getting out of the industry, got that, and then just put together, I suppose, the makeup of the numbers around that. Had a budget, stuck to the budget, and brought good heifers. I suppose spent what we needed to spend to get what we wanted to get, and then make up the numbers from there. Have good animals coming into the herd that sort of carry on with what we're wanting to do.
So, Craig, you mentioned that when you first went share milking, you brought the herd off the farm that you started on, but to move up from there, you had to double your herd. So
that was a challenge. Moving to Wendy and David's place, we discussed around could we buy a line of heifers from them, ones that they were quite happy to not put through their clearing sale. So we bought, I think, 30 odd of them. As well as we bought some what they would call budget cows, which they were mostly like anything that was over like 10 or 11 years old, that they didn't want to see go on a truck. We were quite happy to buy those because I like my older genetics, so it was a bit unique and something to look at. And as well as we bought another few other animals off them to add up those numbers. And then hit the old clearing sales. So I did come to Wendy and David's one, and I bought, I think, like 38 odd head.
Yeah.
They
were not as budget cows.
No, they were not budget cows. The whole point with that was I bought a cow off Wendy and David in the past, and I love her to bits, and she's still here now. Unfortunately, she's empty. And I've always told Wendy that if she ever sold any more cows, I'm coming to buy them. But the target ones that we were looking at the sale were, one, what we could afford, but two, make sure that they're going to be like brood cows, something that we can breed from and breed families out of. So we got those cows from there, as well as a few other randoms from just random clearing sales. We targeted mostly Friesian. The old crossbred F12 came through, and I think there's one with a bit of Hereford in it. And yeah. So that was fun, but we stayed well under budget with those cows, so that we had that little bit to spend on some nice breeding cows. So, needless to say that the one with a little bit of Hereford in her isn't calf to beef. She is very fat.
She's looking after herself.
Yeah, with a fat test of 6, it's fine, but she only does 10 litres.
Oh, brilliant!
No, we're predominantly Friesian. We've got a few brown Swiss, and then we've got a few Ayrshires. Are a headache. And there's some milk and shorthorns that I bought off Wendy.
Yep.
And also got a Lakenvelder or Dutch belted.
Yep.
That's my wife's, which is fine. I don't mind milking her. She just looks like a belted Galloway, and it makes everyone sort of question my ability as a dairy farmer that I've milking this belted Galloway, and I'd like to prove them wrong, but she does bloody well.
Fair enough. My wife's wanting to get a couple of milking shorthorns, and so it's like, meh. Go on then.
Maybe in a couple of years I'll have some calves for you.
Yeah, but it is I don't know, why not? You got to have some fun and enjoy what you're doing, and put a smile on your face.
Yeah. For me, it's not really the colour of the cow. It's more just the fun of the breeding side of things.
Yeah.
Picking the bull, and then, like, as I said, I'm the AB tech, so picking the bull out and then putting it in the cow, and then calving time, you get this calf come out and go, oh, why the hell did I put you over her? Or, wow, this thing's amazing. It's a massive calf and it's drinking that was supposed to be sex semen and it's come out of bull. So,
hey, it happens.
Numerous times.
So this will be your first year actually picking semen, I guess, for your herd as well, Ben. How are you feeling about that? What are the choices and stuff that's going through your mind? I know that you've had a bit of a chat with Kelly Powell, one of our board directors, who's the worldwide size rep for Manawatu.
Yep. Yeah, so we've actually done and dusted today for the semen.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You're ahead of me then.
Why stress about it, and why leave it to the last minute? Like, I don't know, get my ducks in a row and go and do it. I suppose like where we are now, we do the bottom 30% to beef. I hate the thought of putting a dairy heifer on the bobby truck. Like, you pay so much money to get them, you might as well get a keeper, like cull before you actually get to that point. So going to go, I suppose, heavier on the sex semen to Friesian. The bottom 30% of the herd will go to beef, and then what's left will 50% sexed and then 50% conventional, with the intention of growing our numbers. So we're contract, like we can rear up to 90 heifer calves on our agreement. I'll potentially look at contract rearing them, getting them reared outside and doing the grazing outside, so that in a couple of years' time we've got more numbers. I'd like to buy a farm in 3 years, so that sort of that breeding strategy sort of fits in with that. Like if I can grow my numbers at the same time as getting cows and calf, they have to calve, so get something that I want out of them too.
So you're using a variety of AB companies for the first year, or
No, so worldwide, going with Kelly. People you meet, people you know, it's all, frozen. Say what you will about that, but yeah, I don't know. Looking at this last season with LIC, and the fuffle that they've had with that, I don't really want to put myself into that challenge.
it's understandable.
It seems to work elsewhere in the world. Why can't it work in New Zealand?
No, I would agree. You use a variety of things on farm, don't you, Craig?
Yeah, we use a bit of everything. Mostly CMX, and then we use a little bit of worldwide size and maybe a little bit of CRV. The farm that I was on previous to this one, before we bought the herd, that was all LICs, bull of the day, and I was the AB tech there, and I couldn't see the benefit in it. I like picking the bulls, and trying to slot them in and try and get the benefits out of them. We use with CMX, we use their Optimate program, so that gives us using some of our TOP data. They use the traits of the bulls as well and try and match them up the best they can with the ones that we're using. So, and that's across all of them. Like, we just let them know who we're using through worldwide size or CRV or whatever, and they match them up and give us a first, second, and third insemination. But we're pretty much the same. We use like bottom 25-30% gets beef, top 15 to 20% gets sex semen, and then whoever's in the middle just gets conventional. And then we're quite lucky here with having the runoff right next door, and David being an AB tech as well. He's very kindly been doing the AB at the runoff, so we get to do the first 3 weeks of AB over the heifers at the runoff. So we pick nice easy calving bull for those and go from there, and then do 3 weeks, and then there's bulls out. And we use Angus as well, so try and minimise the bobbies best we can.
Do you buy registered bulls?
I have in the past. The benefits of them is you can get what they call a breeding card. So you can sell those calves as they were made, like they were half bred from this stud's bull. It gave me an extra $25 to $30 per calf, and it really varied day to day when they were at the sales. So I haven't I did a few years ago, but haven't lately. I just get nice looking Angus bulls. We haven't had any trouble. They're nice strong calves. The thing that I like about them is that they come out marked like black, and it's very rarely where they have white on them or anything like that. I'm not getting the $400-$500 a calf for them at the sale yards, but every single one of those calves that is born Angus gets sold, and it's nice to see them go off and be reared for meat rather than off on the bobby truck. So
because that's one thing that I'm wanting to do, because we're in a sheep and beef sort of area, talking to Kim at Angus Pure, doing the recording them as you say, so the females, their progeny, if it goes back to an Angus, it can go into the Angus Pure program.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I'm sort of, I don't know, hoping that it, again, trying to limit that bobby calf number, like looking at different ways to do that.
Yeah, it's for me, it's not the nicest feeling. You've worked all this time, and I feel a bit stink for the mother. She's bred this, birthed this calf, and then you're just, I'll put it on the bobby. I've never been a fan of it, and the one like we've used other bulls in the past, like other beef bulls, sorry, in the past. We've used a bit of Speckle Park, Herefords. We've run Herefords tail enders as well, but the Speckle Park, they're beautiful calves, nice and strong, super easy to put on the feeder. They just don't sell. Like they have to be 10 days to a month old before the month to 10 days. It's massive calf, almost ready to be weaned before you're selling it and getting your money back.
Yeah.
So and I haven't had any issue with the Angus. So
Yep.
always go on the truck and they go to the sale yards and they're always sold. So
Yep.
and also any of the heifers, Angus heifer calves, we are selling back to Wendy and David, and hoping to do that again this year. And they just rear them for a bit of extra stock on the farm and lawnmowers, basically. So, and then they when they get up to prime, and then they go on the hooks.
Yep.
So what are your farming goals? I think everyone's got an objective on farm that they want to get to, whether it be, producing bulls for an AB company or just targeting a certain milk solid amount. What's your kind of aim in life on your farm? I know you want to be able to buy a farm someday, Ben, but where are you kind of aiming for?
Yeah, it's weird. I used to be like, milk solids, like it'd be cool to put 500 solids in the vat and that sort of thing. But yeah, for me, I personally, I'm profitability. Like it's got to be sustainable and like environmental and all of that sort of stuff. But it's also got to be sustainable for the business. And if you're going to be buying in a heap of feed to reach your 500 kilo solids or whatever, is it going to be more profitable than running, whatever system? So yeah, that to me is, I'm not chasing the solids, it's more chasing the profitability. As for the breeding side of things, if we could get a bull to be doing or cows to be doing well, then yeah, that would be a bonus.
So Craig, you were really lucky. You bought a cow with a contract on her and you got a bull go into LIC, Lockhaven Fortune Dew, a couple of years ago. I know that's something that you weren't really aiming for. But...
No, not really aiming for. It was kind of nice at the time. And seeing that he actually got fairly far, he ended up, despite what I kept being told, because he wasn't highest BW bull, so it wasn't really didn't really tick all the boxes for their marketing, but he got marketed as sex semen in UK and Ireland, because he had the highest concentrate of his year on his semen, and he was the highest concentrate of basically the females. So he ended up being in the sex semen team for overseas. So he did quite well, and a little bit around New Zealand as well. Unfortunately, I got the notification the other day that he has fallen short. So he has found his final destination. But it was a cool journey and learning all that sort of stuff and learning what they're looking for. We have actually got a heifer and a calf that CRV are actually interested in now. So for next season's mating. So just sort of working through all that sort of stuff too. I guess the money's nice, like especially when you're first or second year share milking, it pays a bill when the money comes in, and it's quite nice. But it's still the journey of seeing something that your cow has bred and being proud of him getting where he got. And being picked, even if he just gets picked and he's not going to win any prizes, just getting picked is still a nice thing. Got a photo of him up in the office and his name underneath, so we'll always remember him.
Yeah,
he was a bit of a pain in the bum when he was a calf, but
even when he's knocked down to second place by your next bull.
Yeah, why not? I'll just put them underneath.
Yeah.
Moving up into share milking again, you are taking on a large amount of costs and things like that. Is there technology or anything like that that you're looking at including in your farming system to try and help make things easier? I'm sure with the number that you're going to, you've possibly got staff, so making sure that your staff, or that you can trust your staff and what they're doing. Do you have any that you're looking at on farm, Ben?
I suppose for me, the technology is like it makes your life easier. So why would you not? Like where we are now, we've had cut removers and ProTrack and that sort of thing. So that's it takes a 2-person shed down to a 1-person shed. So it's efficiencies there, and then your ProTrack, set your numbers and forget it kind of thing. And at the end of milking, you've got your cows there. So where I'm going, we don't have cut removers and we don't have ProTrack. That's something I want to get, just because of the efficiencies in it, and being able to save labour cost really. I've got the boluses from SmackTech. So that again is just around that animal health side of things. I personally don't agree with halter. Just with the collars, that's just a personal belief. I've seen what my dog's like when I put a shock collar on her. Just the anxiety levels for me, or my belief on that for the cows. That was more the decision to go down to the bolus side of things. I looked at Cow Manager, and just the amount of data that I can get out of that bolus, and for the animal health side of things and the mating. I think that'll pay for itself, like with being able to pick up subclinical mastitis and know what cows are, if they've got mastitis before they're actually throwing clinical, and then for your heats and for your calvings. And
I think for the calvings, I've run a couple of events with SmackTech this year, and the way they can pick up the calving fascinates me, and the technology that goes into it is just incredible. So I think that'll be a real eye-opener. It can tell you that the animal's going to calve in the next 12 hours.
Yeah. We've definitely looked into those. We're running collars at the moment. We've got all flex collars. I put them on, I think, the second year that I was share milking. And on the farm that we were on, the owner thought it was a waste of time. But unfortunately, I got hit with a few updates and it sort of screwed it up on the first season. But the second season that we had them on, the data that we were getting out of it over mating anyway, and rumination and diet change and stuff like that, feed wise and rumination and balancing cows' diets, that's me. I'm a massive lover of that, and I could spend hours watching cows chew their cuds, basically. So getting the data out of those collars, especially now, like they've been on a few years, as well as me taking over Wendy's, the collars that they've had on their herd, and getting the data out of them. Unfortunately, again, I got hit with some more updates this year, so I've lost a lot of the older data, but we've fine-tuned it a lot this year, and because I've understood when those updates come through how to get back onto it nice and quick, get it sorted. And also, like, we were looking at the boluses and stuff like that, in conjunction with the collars, just to give us even more accuracy on just the animal health side of things and the calving, as Amelia said.
Hey, it can tell you how much water your animal's drunk too.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Yeah.
But that's the massive
indicator.
But like if she's not drinking, it's got a whole heap of other things. Like, and for me, not having like yourself, you've got years and years and years and years of experience, whereas like me picking cows is probably 3 seasons for heats. And for me, it's like if you miss a mating, like that's got its flow-on effect into next season.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, well, if I can spend that little bit more money, yes, it's going to be a cost, but hopefully it's going to save me a shed ton of cost later. And
and also like looking like what I've learned over the years with the collars is you start to identify like health problems a lot quicker too. Like when we first put the collars on, I was getting alerts for down cows like constantly, and it was like, draft that cow out and have a look at her, and you look at her and go, why is the collar telling me you're sick? Like you look perfectly fine, but it just starts to sort of fine tune you looking at the cows. When you're milking and stuff, you're looking at them every day, well, you try to anyway. So you'll pick minor details up, and that's what I've learned. So like at the moment, I've had a couple of cows that have had crook guts. So, but I picked them up probably 2 days before the collars will tell me that the cow's got a crook guts. But it's more because, well, I guess a little bit of experience, but more because I'm pinpointing what the collar is reading, her behaviour change and her rumination change, and that's where I'm getting ahead of the collar now, which has helped me be a better farmer for the cows.
Yeah,
more information, more power.
That's it, eh? Like, you're only as good as what data you've got.
Exactly.
The boluses, they've got bloody AI in them now. So it'll look at all the data coming through, and then it'll be like, it's a 78 or 80% chance that she's got mastitis. And it's like, if you're telling me that, she's got mastitis.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, yeah, I suppose it's using the technology to help them, help you, help the whole business. You know, like, yeah, I'm really excited by being able to incorporate some technology into the whole thing.
And I guess it's also looking at, yes, it's expensive to buy your herd and everything like that, and the first few seasons you're really running on a loss more than a win, but you're seeing the benefits of spending that little bit of extra money to improve from a base level to, in the end, it's going to help increase your production by being able to read your cows a lot better and knowing what's potentially happening there.
Yeah, well, sorry.
It's also being able to cull on a reason as well. Like if you're having massively high empty rates, all you're doing every year is culling your empty cows, or and then so your mastitis problem is going to go through the roof, and having that technology to help you get more cows in calf, maintain their heats, and finding out issues before they're arriving. It's making you money back, because then you can get more cows in calf, cull all those high cell count ones that have been transferring mastitis all through your herd, treat those mastitis cows before they become clinical. Well, draft them out and give them a bit of anti-inflammatory just so they can sort of get it over themselves, instead of having to use thousands of dollars of penicillin. And it's a flow-on cost. Yeah, it hurts when you're paying the bill, but then you work out all the stuff that, if I didn't have that on and that cow got lame 4 times, mastitis 5, and blah, 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 and then was empty, at the end of the day, it's a $2,000 cow that you've spent a lot of money on for no reason.
Well, and then on the flip side of that, like, how many cows have, like, losing during calving? If there's calving difficulties and you lose 1 or 2 cows, again, that's $2,000 or $4,000 that you're not having to essentially dig a hole or call the pet food company for, and that goes a long way to subsidising the cost of your technology.
Yeah. You only have to work out how many cows you're going to save with it before it's paid for it. So it's money well spent, I think, looking into those sort of monitoring systems and that. So yeah, as much as they teach us lots of different languages at school, I don't think anybody could learn cow. I've tried. It's very hard to learn.
So did I. So, Craig, you mentioned it really briefly before. You do a little bit of classification work.
Yes.
I guess that's another tool or technology that you use on your farm. Do you want to just talk a little bit about the reasons why you do that and the benefits you get from that, other than your breeding that you talked about?
I guess it's for me anyway. Doing the classifications and stuff, predominantly on our 2-year-olds, but we do the odd older cow, and repeats. For me, it's just to basically verify my breeding choices, as well as make sure we're making those the right choice for the future of those animals. And I guess it's trying to pull out their flaws so that we could sort of help fix the next generation coming out of those families and moving forward. And also, it's always nice to see a heifer come through that you really like as a calf, and she's come through and she classifies quite high. That's always a nice thing to hear, because it means I did the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think also you're talking about people that are just starting to get into making those breeding choices for themselves. So if, for like yourself, Ben, like you've just brought a herd, using a tool such as TOP is a really great way for you to just really identify as a whole herd where the faults lie. Most of the time, like I'm myself from a classifier, and when we go out and we look at these herds, even if you're just looking at the 2-year-olds, you can really pick out, 3 traits that a farmer can then work on. So if you're just getting into choosing your first lot of bulls, or you're just starting that breeding process, knowing what those traits are to protect against, that udders in New Zealand can always be improved. I have not seen a herd with perfect udders from A to Z yet. So if you find one, let me know. I'm willing to come and have a look. But picking 3 things out of that data, and actually realizing when you're reading a bull proof what those conformation traits mean. I know any new farmers that I go to that's their first time classifying, or sire proving herds that are doing it for the first time, I always take the time to explain what each trait is. So when we're talking about capacity, we're not just talking about the barrel, we're talking about the chest width and the importance of your capacity, because that's your heart and lung room. My favourite fact when it comes to cows is that it takes 600 litres of blood to create 1 litre of milk. So the more heart and lung room you have, that larger capacity, that greater chest width and that body depth, the more likely you are to be able to produce more milk. So the way that you can use the TOP data to kind of flow through and increase your production as well. That's how I always see it.
So when are you coming down to visit?
walk through the herd.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime after you move.
Yeah.
Hey, more than happy if people want me to come and have a walk through their herd. I don't have to classify it. It's part of my job to go out and visit people. So if you want me to just wander through the herd and have a look and identify, I've got friends that live out Pyro away that I did it for him a couple of years ago, and he didn't believe me what was wrong with his herd. But I think it was a bit of a shock to him to actually realise how bad his legs were in his herd. But
I think that's one of the big things that everyone sort of forgets when they're breeding a cow is one, where you're getting the milk from. So you need to make sure that's fitted and it's going to last. Also, cows in New Zealand have to walk to the cow shed. We're not in a shed. So feet and legs are really important.
Oh, extremely important here.
And definitely some of the farms that I've worked on over the years that have just used bull of the day, or just, told their rep, hey, just pick me 10 bulls or whatever, and we'll just use whatever. And that's like, you look at those cows and they've just put a bull over a cow, and then she's come out and it looks like she's wearing flippers as feet, and the udders looks like the big wheels, drag races, and she's not going to last. So that's one of the things that I find really good with the classifying and stuff, that you can pinpoint flaws in your cows and then put it back into your mating data and pick those bulls on that selection. It might be 3 bulls that suit you, and you can use 3 bulls over your whole herd, but at least there's 3 bulls that might improve feet and legs, udders, and a bit of capacity. And if you want a taller animal, you get one with higher stature. If you want to bring your cows down, you get one with lower stature. It's one of those things where it's just a massive tool to just help for the future, I guess.
Yeah. And I suppose, like, because we've put that herd together for the first season, and how I said earlier that we've already got like all our semen all sorted for next season, like very much, catching up with Kelly, like a big thank you to her, because we looked through the worldwide size catalogue, and it was like, like we want longevity, low cell count, and able to stay and like hold their condition, like, those are my sort of 3 things I want in my herd. And she was like, yep, cool. Well, I sent her some bulls, and then she was like, I think one of them, she was like, yes. And so she threw back, like a couple of other bulls that she thought would suit us better. And it is. And it's like, I suppose I don't know every cow in the herd. I don't know whatever like about it. So it is those having that general breeding trait, I suppose, for that first season, very much so, of get them in calf, get them, that, and then be able to build on it. Like, I think that's one thing, share milk, or going into share milking, there's so many costs that you can do, and there's so much stuff that you can do. It's like, what weight are you feeding the cows? What are you doing? And this and that, and it's like, choose your battles.
You can definitely overdo it. I've had friends do exactly the same thing and just go way overboard. We try and be fairly conservative, and I always, well, especially around breeding and stuff like that, the bulls aren't cheap. And my semen rep, Ryan and Corey, they've got to have a very sharp pencil when they come out and see me, and try and get some sort of a deal, hopefully, please. But yeah, you can definitely go overboard, and but there's definitely, looking at those catalogs, there's certainly like either some of those really, really good bulls that are like $110 a straw. Some of those bulls that have come through, they've got sons or grandsons or something that are just as good, but are a lot cheaper. They're just coming through, that we definitely look at anyway. And you can get just as good a stock coming out of them. And they typically, as long as you're looking at the traits and stuff like that, and they match up. So the other thing that we sort of work on is herd test data and stuff like that, especially as a first year share milking and buying the herd and stuff like that. Some of those cows, you might be milking them, and you're milking away and absolutely hate her to bits and think that she's the biggest, uselessest thing in the herd. And turns out that she's probably doing 2.8 solids and cranking out the liters, and then all of a sudden you love her, and she's got her name's Princess, and she goes from there. We've definitely got a few of those that we bought and paid $1,200 for, and when they calved, one of them went down, and she was down for 3 or 4 days, and I thought, well, she just needs shooting, she's useless, but I love her now. Peaked at 3.6 and has done over 600 solids already. So, and she's an absolute star of a cow. Once she got going, once she got over her milk fever, she's an absolute star. So you definitely find those cows, and you don't really realise until you've done a herd test, and it's like, actually.
So the process of moving up in the farming industry and moving farms always comes with challenges. What are some things that you feel you need to be aware of, or things that you may be looking at moving to your new farm?
I suppose one thing I've learnt, like, because I didn't come into farming from, like, I didn't grow up farming, and so I've come at it from a different angle. But one thing I got told quite early on, and in anything you do, is why you're doing it and does it add value. And so, like, having that approach to things, it's like, yeah, looking at it, you could blow all your budget on a herd of awesome cows, but then you don't have the wagon, you don't have the tractor, you don't have the anything else to be able to do with it. So you can't actually feed them and realize their potential. So yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me is just orchestrating or being able to balance everything. Like, I lined up the machinery in February, and it's like, cool, can you pay us a $30,000 deposit? And it's like, yes, I can. And so it's trying to kick that as far down as you can, like, look after your pennies the best you can. Like, everyone wants your money, and I really like my money too. So it's trying to hold on to that for as long as what you can and keep your overdraft down. Living in town, because I live off farm, like, having a tractor in the driveway isn't feasible because the wife would kill me. So it's for me, it's been working with a good stock agent and good vendors, and being able to push back the delivery date on the heifers, because I can't take them until 1st of June. And so it's like, can you hold them until 1st of June instead of 1st of May? So, and we've had amazing vendors that have done that. One that can't do it, and so talking to the farm owner and like, the relationships that you build and that you create give you the opportunities to do things. And everyone's in business to do business, and it's how you can work together to be successful in it. Yeah, so that, I think that's my biggest challenge that I've had is trying to juggle everything, as well as the job, as well as being dad to 2 kids and a husband to my wife, and life as well.
Yeah, definitely moving time, making sure all your ducks in a row, all your cows are in a row, making sure that stock that you've bought can get there on the 1st, or somewhere around there. We had the issue that our heifers had to come home on the 1st of May, and because we were leaving our grazing, he didn't want our calves there anymore either. So calves and heifers had to leave on the 1st of May, and my previous job, they didn't want them on their property, none of it. So because he wanted me to build cover for the new guy. And so I had to talk to Wendy and David and be like, can we fit them in somewhere? So yeah, and there was a few stuff ups with because we bought cows out of different herds as well, organising trucks for them. Most of the time we organised it on the day, on the sale day. I had an awesome trucking company help us out, Andy Smith, and they've always been wicked for me. And I rang him up one day and was like, so this guy's not going to pick the stock up anymore. Are you able to? And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll be over there tomorrow. Just and they were quiet with the stock, and so no, they were awesome. And everything got delivered on here and safe and sound. So it's always good. The main thing is just don't expect it to go all perfectly to plan. Something will go wrong, and it's just breathe. Breathe. You'll be okay. There's a beer in the fridge when you get home.
The sun will set, the sun will rise. Already talking to the outgoing sharemilker, and already talking about because the same company is going to cart his gear down to his new job is what's going to pick my gear up to the new job. So it's like, cool, what are we taking on the first load? So that then if his wagon goes down to the new job, my wagon will go up first so that then I can lay out feed or whatever for his cows and he can take his down for, the girls. So it's all, I think, as I said earlier, like everyone's in it to put white stuff in the shiny thing. So work together to get it done, like, with your grazing and stuff. It's
definitely communication's always a key. Like that was always a big thing for us. Just to keep everybody in the loop. As soon as we knew something, we rung Wendy and David and tried to inform them like what was going on, so that they didn't just have a truck turn up.
The other factor with, and another challenge that farmers face with moving up and moving on, is mental health. Mental health is like a huge factor in the dairy industry. Just how you guys feel about that, and what your thoughts are, and trying to make sure that you do what's best for yourself, I guess, to make sure that you're in the best place.
Funnily enough, I'm off on stress leave at the moment. So I was having a couple of anxiety attacks and stuff.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, just before the move and with work and stuff. So yeah. Yep.
I had a few of those this year. It's been great. I'm 2 weeks into a counsellor, so it's been good.
It's good, getting the right, I suppose,
getting the right person.
Yeah. Are you at the point where you're finding your way through it, or you're still sort of just finding what was the cause or the,
I've done counselling in the past, and I've sort of I can pinpoint what it is and what the problems are, but like it's just trying to break stuff down, talking around it instead of flying off the handle or getting into a big hole or whatever. Trying to talk about it more than then letting it build up. So.
Yeah. Good luck on the journey, man.
It feels it feels a lot better knowing that you can talk to someone, but like it's the thing of like feeling trapped and lost. That's the hardest part, and
the drowning feeling of anxiety as well.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose it's like that powerlessness. Like I've found that mindfulness to be really good. Just stopping and being like, I can fully control what I'm physically doing now. Get rid of everything else that's not helping you exist right then and on the task that you're doing. And just bring yourself back to it.
There's great apps for that just like the lady that I was talking to, she gave me an app that just does like 3 or 5 minutes where you just listen to this weird music, and it just, you stop, you don't do anything, you just listen to that. And you can set it for times throughout the day to just kind of give yourself that mindfulness.
It's about drowning that voice out in your head too. Like for me, it's listening to something or going to do something that takes your mind off, especially with like farming, because you're constantly, my cow's okay. Did I give them enough feed today? Do I need to move their paddock for tomorrow? Is it going to rain tonight? It's a constant thing where, like for me, if I got AirPods, so I just listen to podcasts, and it's just one ear going, and 90% of the time it could be on like the 5th set podcast or whatever, and I have no idea how I got there, but it's just something in my head where it's like just ticking over in the background, so I'm not trying to concentrate too much on other stuff. And like some of the podcasts I listen to are just utter nonsense, but like it's a distraction, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's like going into it, that is one of the biggest things, like just how all-encompassing it is. Like you live on farm, you wake up, you go to work. I look at cows as a captive audience, as it were. Like we are 100% responsible for their feed. We're 100% responsible for their well-being and for everything. And that is a lot of pressure.
Yes,
and
definitely.
and so it's I suppose it's taken that time for you to be able to look after them the best. Like they need you to be on your best foot, and the pressure of that, and as you say, podcasts. But I find just going out and pulling weeds out of the garden,
Yeah, especially being first year share milking and stuff like that, you can definitely feel like the whole world is on your shoulders, and everybody is out to get you. But there's definitely people to talk to, and talking's a good thing to do. Your neighbours are always there. The farm owner is always there, and friends and family, of course. For me, someone that has to deal with depression and anxiety and bits and pieces, brain's constantly moving. So rural support's out there for you. And like even federated farmers, and if it's budgeting stuff that you're struggling with, Dairy NZ sometimes can come on board. But definitely the main thing is just keep talking. Find someone to phone, and find a mate to phone, and just talk. Half an hour on the phone can make the world of difference.
And I guess the other one is like young farmers clubs.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
were quite heavily involved in the Narrow Club when you were first getting into farming.
Yeah, definitely made a few really good friends through young farmers. I was part of Nauru Young Farmers in Morrinsville. So, definitely once a week at the pub, just having a massive moan about how terrible life is, and everyone doing exactly the same thing, and then go, oh, actually, my life's not that bad. So, it's definitely, it comes down to that someone to talk to, and because as much as when we're in the middle of a drought, or you're thinking you need to plant your maize, and it's, do I swap my maize for rice because my whole farm's underwater,
or you go through calving with salmonella.
Or you go through calving with salmonella. That's fun. I can tell you that firsthand. Finding someone to talk to is and that definitely got me through.
Yeah, it's interesting, the mental health thing. Like, we've got Sarah coming on board with us to start, and she wants to go sole trading. So it's like, cool, like, let's enable that to happen. But she's not coming on as a worker. She's coming on as a team member. Like, and that to me is, I suppose, having a team and not having a boss and a worker, or having that, like, just that dynamic, or the whole approach to it. Like, everyone in the industry are people, or and they've got their own feelings and their own thoughts and their own goals and their own aspirations and whatnot. Like, it may not be important to you, but it may mean the world to them. And how I interact with them, or how you deal with anyone, can have such a big flow-on effect. It seems quite prolific in the dairy industry, especially, like, of having workers and having, like, the workers' house, and it's like, oh, it's only a workers' house. But then that flow on to your treatment of the worker, like, they're a valuable asset and they're a valuable team member. Let's treat them like that. And I suppose
definitely
mentality of, I'll get another one next season.
Yeah, like it's that's a task as well. Like having staff is a learning curve on its own, but I've had staff in the past when I was contract milking and other farm jobs that I've been on as well, and definitely feeling like you're a part of a team rather than just a number in the crew. And that's definitely what we've tried to do, and we've talked to our worker numerous times. If you find it hard to talk to me, go and talk to my wife Alison, or vice versa, or if there's any issues, just talk to us. That communication thing's massive. And, it definitely makes the work environment a hell of a lot nicer. Than being treated like a worker, even when you're a share milker and still struggling to get things done day to day. So definitely that team environment is definitely something that we're trying to implement more and more.
So I guess just one last question for you guys. Do you ever get off farm? Do you have anything that you do that's not farm related? You both got kids, so I'm sure they keep you busy, but do you have anything that's your own hobby or anything like that?
I play a bit of squash. Again, with one of the old team members, and when he was local, another guy that before he moved away. So yeah, wanting to carry that on up to the new place. Just I don't know, get out, do something, and active as opposed to being sitting at a pub or whatever. If that's your jam, then cool. Go and sit at the pub and have a yarn. But yeah, I'm quite keen to stay active and hit a ball around. Yeah, it's just I don't know, whatever the wife drags me out to do that the kids are wanting to do as well.
When it comes to me, no, I don't leave the farm ever. I'm stuck here. I've got a ball and chain, and it's permanently chained to the cow shed. No, that's just for me. That's just my personality. I like being outside and being on the farm, and I'm very tinkery with my hands. So when I don't want to do farming stuff, I then have welding projects. I've finally got my lathe back in the shed, so I've got a few things that I want to do on that and learn how to do a bit more stuff on that. Hobbies for me, I used to do a lot of small bore rifle shooting and claybird shooting. I really want to get back into that. I hear there's a club around here that's fairly decent. So the whole point in moving to a slightly bigger farm and having staff, as much as it is a bit of a learning curve, definitely so that I could get more time off farm and spend time with the kids, because I definitely, growing up.
All right, well, thank you both for giving up your time today. I knew it was going to be a good yarn, and I think you guys definitely...
Oh, thank you, Amelia, for listening to our ranting.
Yeah. Listening to the shants.
Happy. So I will be back next month with another guest and another topic. If you have any topics you would like me to cover on the podcast or any questions regarding Holstein Friesian New Zealand, feel free to get in contact with me through our website, Facebook page, or Instagram, which are all linked in our show notes. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. So thanks for listening. Thanks, Craig and Ben.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Bye.